If we are to improve the diversity of the nursing profession, it begins with a commitment to a holistic admissions process, a commitment to move away from the traditional emphasis on grades and test scores to a holistic evaluation of an individual's experiences and attributes in conjunction with academic performance. Listen to the voices of these nursing students as they describe experiences of caregiving, adversity, and perseverance, which ignited and fueled a passion for nursing, and how a holistic admissions process provided a pathway to success, one that might not have been provided within a traditional admission process.
My earliest memory of wanting to be a nurse, I think, was back in childhood. My mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at the age of 3, so I've always been, a patient advocate. So I was my mom's advocate. I was my dad's advocate when he was sick as well. So I've just always been a nurse without actually being a nurse.
I was really close to my grandmother, and she is probably the main reason why I went into nursing. She had multiple strokes when we lived in Puerto Rico, and we had a home health nurse come in and take care of her. And I was just like, you can do this at home. This is amazing. And I saw how she actually cared for my grandmother. It wasn't just like she was doing a job, but I saw like her empathy and her just like her tenderness and how well she worked with my grandmother. And I saw the improvement.
I was getting ready to apply to nursing school. This is when I lived somewhere else, and found out I was pregnant with my son. I was like this close to applying to nursing school, and I'm like, oh my gosh, but this is perfect. Like my kids will be kind of close in age, but it's not good timing because I wanted a career for myself. So I decided not to go forth and apply at that point. Getting ready to apply to a program again, and then that's when I learned that my son has special needs, if you will. So that took up a lot of my time for years because he was in different therapies. We didn't know what was wrong with him. Lots of different doctor's appointments. Some things went good, some things went not so good. Like I had some good experiences with nurses and doctors and some not so good experiences with nurses and doctors. And that's really a huge part of the journey that I'm on. In being a nurse, that I've been in a lot of unfortunate situations, and I don't want anyone that I know or am around to have to realize that they're alone in their situation. So having my son, my special needs son, has been a huge part of me becoming a nurse, but it's also been a barrier. So I think because even now, the program that I'm in right now, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do it. And because of not having the childcare, I mean, there are nursing schools demanding. And so with that said, it was a challenge to finish my LPN program with my kids.
When I found out I was pregnant with my first child, my son, I was not expecting it. I was actually in the process of enrolling into school, and I had horrible morning sickness where for 7 months I just had to lay in bed and constantly go in and get IVs because I couldn't keep anything down. So I put that on hold after he was born and just didn't really address it, like going back into school, because I just felt like he was my main priority at that time. And then I had my daughter. It wasn't until they were about 6 years old when I got back into working my prerequisites. But yeah, for those first years of their lives, I was just at home with them, and my husband was the main provider.
Having kids in general is definitely an obstacle when it comes to being in any type of schooling, more or less nursing. You literally have to put your family on hold as much as you possibly can because it takes a lot of your time. I was going to school to become a nurse, and everything was going good until I ended up finding out I was pregnant. So I had to take a step back. Morning sickness was literally kicking my butt. I had to take a semester off, but I didn't get discouraged. I actually came back in, and I remember sitting in the hospital bed after I had just had him and had my husband go take my paperwork up to the clinical instructor at another hospital at 6 o'clock in the morning, because that's what time they were going to get there, because I did not want to get an F on that paper.
Family does come first, so that's why I became an LPN, and I've been fortunate to find an LPN to BSN program to help me on this next level. I multiple times thought about nursing, but there was always something that kept stopping me. And so eventually the most recent where I decided I'm going to do this. Like I wanted to be a nurse for so long, I'm going to do it. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was in that recovery that I decided I'm applying to nursing school. I was actually a practicing therapist at the time, a counselor therapist. And 2 weeks into that recovery, I applied to nursing school and I got into the LPN program and decided I'm going to do it. And it didn't start for a few months. So that's really what started my journey. I applied, got in, and then I completed the LPN. Then I wanted to do to the next level, which was RN. And that's when we found out my husband was being stationed in Egypt. So that's really where my nursing journey started many years ago. So there's actually lots of things in between there, because I want to say I probably tried to become a nurse, like in my mind, getting ready to apply probably 5 or 6 times. So it's one of those things, that's how much I wanted to be a nurse. And I love and feel so fortunate to be in the spot that I'm in right now, that it finally happened after lots of trials and errors of, no, it's not going to work now. Still not going to work now, but here I am, second career later, many years later, getting close to being done.
So I had applied to Lower Columbia College, and I was going through the entire process of like going in and taking another exam and submitting all my documentation. And right before I was about to submit my application to them, I received an email from the assistant dean of Green River College that the program had been approved. And I was like, well, count my lucky stars. This is a sign that I need to be done. I wasn't really feeling it. I would have to drive 2 hours in each direction, maybe a couple days a week, not really knowing what I would be getting into. I mean, Green River College was something that I was really already familiar with, the instructors and just the way that the program worked. So I did a lot of praying, and I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and submit my application. And then I get the call that they were doing the interview process. So that was great.
But I was really determined. And with that, my husband was determined with me, because we had to sit down. I'm like, how am I going to do this? You remember it was intense and hard when I did my other nursing program. This one's probably going to be like that, but a little bit more. So are we ready? And my husband was completely on board. He's like, yes, we will figure it out. And it was sort of his confidence and his belief in me that like, well, you can do this. The rest we're going to figure out. We'll get help if we need to, or I'll be there to help with the kids. I got to apply and I got into St. Martin's, and that was a huge moment, a huge plus that day that I found out I was going.
Something, and I'm going to call it fate, made me look on St. Martin's website again. I had already looked on it before and realized they didn't have a program that really fit my needs at that moment. So I was like, I'll come back to them later. But something made me go back on their website, and they had just published their LPN to BSN and was accepting applications. So I immediately applied, got the email with the balloons, which is so funny because literally when you open the email, it says congratulations and all these balloons fly up, and got accepted into the program. And that has been my journey. And here I am, senior 1, graduating May 2023.
So my goal from the beginning, before COVID came and threw a wrench into everything, was to become a BSN and hopefully work with veterans at the wound clinic at the VA. So that is still my goal, and I'm still chugging along. That's what I'm hoping to gain at the end of this. So I'm working towards that, and it's a lot of determination, and maybe a lot of self-esteem now these days. I've seen what hard work can do, and that things that seem impossible or very hard are not that hard once you step into it and understand what it entails.
This is what I've always wanted to do, and I'm able to do it. And part of that is, I think there's still a part of me that thinks, but can I do it? I mean, I am, and I'm doing well, and I'm almost done. So I just keep trucking along, and why not? I've always wanted to do this, and I still want to keep going. I mean, while I have the energy, and this is what I want to do. And I feel like nursing is such a versatile career that I don't really plan on retiring. There's so much you can do with a Bachelor of Science in Nursing that if I can't work in a hospital, then maybe there's something lower key. There's so much you can do with it. So I always want to be able to work and give back to my community, wherever that may be, or wherever I'm living.
Because my dad always knew that I could do it, and he would always just be like, when are you going to go back to school? But then my dad got really, really sick, to the point that he ended up passing away in February 2012. And I was actually in school when he passed away, and that kind of threw me off. It's all just motivation for me to keep going. So all of the losses I've had has been my determination to accomplish the goals that they all knew that I wanted. So I just use that. There, I'm human, so I have good days and I have bad days. Some days I wish I could pick up the phone and call any of those people I just mentioned to you, but I can't. So I just think about them all the time and know that when I walk across that stage in May, they're gonna all be right there with me.
The stories you have heard are examples of resilient, passionate, and caring individuals with a shared dream of becoming a registered nurse. With strength and dedication, Eileen, Rebecca, and Murinda did not let obstacles deter them from pursuing their goal. The holistic admissions process provides an opportunity for a school to learn how an individual's experiences and attributes, like those that Eileen, Rebecca, and Murinda shared, have shaped them into an excellent candidate for the nursing program. We must improve the diversity of the nursing profession, not only for the benefit of the communities we serve, but for all of us in the nursing profession. Diversity enriches all our lives, and we become stronger, smarter, and more compassionate nurses.